Hello, welcome back, everyone. Whoa, it's a week since we did the hit piece, and we're now doing an actual. It's is this going to be a weekly thing? Anyway, welcome back to Oomfie News. No, this isn't going to be a weekly thing. I just found more time, and I found a guest to join us today. If you haven't heard of Oomfie News, and if this is the first time you are tuning in, Oomfie News is a semi-regular podcast where I get a person from right wing anti-Twitter. We talk about anime, politics, anything topical, any drama, any Oomfie drama, of course. And today I am joined by a very special Scottish guest. We have ElfWrong. Should I refer to you to or Schled?
That would be ElfWrongs. That's fine.
ElfWrongs. All right, cool.
ElfWrongs.
We're joined by ElfWrongs as he's known on Twitter. I'll link his thing in the description. So, as a start, would you like to describe yourself politically? Describe yourself in terms of religious denomination, and what you kind of do for fun? What's your hobby?
All right. Hello, I'm ElfWrongs. I'm that guy you occasionally see saying good morning and even on some occasions say good night. Politically speaking, I am right wing, obviously. It'd be a dark day if you ever get someone else here. Religiously, non-denominational, but I am friendly to pretty much any denomination, really. I have no
Yeah.
ill will against anyone. So,
And what do you do for fun?
what do I do for fun? I
Yeah.
play games
Oh,
mostly.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I thought you were about to say
Whatever
like,
fine.
oh,
Whatever.
I thought you were about to go and say like, oh, I go out into the countryside and I like tip over sheep for fun.
Oh,
But
I do that.
anyway.
I do that sometimes too. We've got a nice mountain out back, so yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
yeah,
All right.
good hiking place.
Yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, this is a momentous day, of course, because this is the first time we don't actually have a Catholic on here. So no offense to our Catholic viewers, but it was nice to change to someone who's non-denominational, not Protestant, but yeah, non-denominational. So, all right. So,
Yeah, well, we can just call it Protestant.
yeah, well, Protestant's fine. I don't like the term because I used to like non-denominational, but that just means Baptist in a sense because there's like a proper definition for Baptist, but
Mm.
at its core being a
Functionally, there's no real difference.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
definitely functionally it's still low church,
yeah,
high
yeah,
high view of scripture. So as kind of the
basically, yeah.
similar. Yeah. All right. We're going to transition now to, of course, I guess I saw a bit of this. I didn't know that it went like super viral though, or I shouldn't say viral, but I didn't know it went to the effect that, like, to the extent that it was actually controversial. So, if
Mm.
you lot weren't aware, there's an account called Victoria on Twitter. She's a woman, like one of the rare women who are on right wing anti Twitter. And recently, I guess as a joke, she did this eye docs thing where she posted a picture of her eye. Of course, I won't show it on her on the screen for her safety. And I guess this is just in general for all women who are on the internet. Like, I guess, yeah, it's kind of interesting women in this space of right wing anti Twitter because I guess there's the only women I know are like Bjork, there's Miss Meow, um, and Catholic Puella, of course. Those are the and Victoria, of course, the Korean person. Um, have you had any interaction with women on right wing anti Twitter other than those I've just mentioned?
Well, there is Tenchi. That's one person that I
I didn't know
sometimes
Tenchi
speak
was a
to.
woman.
You know what? Until her first account was banned, I had no idea either. So that is
That's
she was a woman.
wild. Oh my goodness.
There's May, Saint Glaceria, Saint
Yeah.
Glaceria Stan. Sorry to all the lady Oomfies that I'm forgetting, but I just don't remember anymore.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, I've talked to a few people about this already, and I've talked to Victoria herself already and privately. But yeah, it is interesting whenever like because women have always like, shown up, right? Oh yeah, of course, Sharky. I'm thinking of Sharky as well, who's not really in right wing anti Twitter, but she's kind of
Mm.
right wing adjacent anyway. But yeah, for the longest time, I think it's interesting when women do enter into this space, because on one hand, I'm thinking it's pretty unsafe, right? You are about to interact with a bunch of people who, and this is no offense to any of you, but you guys have not talked to women before, and to do it in an online manner, and you're not like not actually physically talking to them. I don't think is very helpful. And yeah, I guess there's that as well. But do you have any thoughts on that, by the way, which is on women existing in the space, in the internet space?
No, we should absolutely ban them. We should just ban them from the internet as a whole. It's the only way we as a society can move forward.
Oh my goodness. Oh
All
my
right, so someone's definitely going to clip that out of context here as a
goodness.
joke.
Yes,
But
yes.
no, there's no need.
But in all
I
seriousness,
know,
yeah.
I know that. Yeah, no, I know for the most part they generally know how to handle themselves. At
Mm,
least the ones I've interacted with.
yeah.
Really, the notes I have on what to talk about here is more regarding the men in the crowd.
Mm,
Like you said, if we take the average male right-wing and a Twitter user is a young adult or late teenager, hopefully no younger than that, because
mm,
you're not supposed to be here.
yep.
You have limited experience with women and dating. You've got limited emotional intelligence, which is fine. I have zero EQ myself.
Mm,
And yeah, that kind of person really is the most at risk of either being manipulated or being resentful
mm.
towards, towards women.
Yeah, I think with women on this side of the internet, like they're definitely right wing, and it's cool that there are right wing women. I guess at the same time, it's like it is an unsafe place as well. And I guess it's this is a warning to everyone, I suppose, which is don't dox yourself, because
Mm, mm,
you are like everyone on here. I've almost doxed myself a few times actually, but for myself, I'm a person who actually studies, and I've actually got a job as well. I do have to work to survive, but for the majority of people on right wing anti Twitter, like that's not the case, right? You're all a bunch of young people who still have a bunch of time on your hands, and because of that, if you even give like an inch of reality, like you will be doxxed online. So I guess that's a warning, not just to women especially, but try not to share too much into your personal life.
yes, oversharing is definitely a concern. Every personal
Mm,
detail is one data point that, if you combine it with another, or you can extrapolate it to form a full profile.
mm,
It's how the advertisers do it. It's how law enforcement does it. And if
mm.
there's someone out there that wants you broken, then that's how they'll do it as well.
Yeah, it is an unfortunate situation, and yeah, of course, very topical. It's an event which was suited for this podcast, and I have no regrets like covering it on here, because I think it's important to discuss these things, because I know a bunch of you who are watching right now who just want to just immediately block all women, and I completely respect that. Like if you don't want to talk to the person of the opposite gender online, then it's your prerogative to do so, but I think this message is kind of for women who are on anti Twitter. Yeah, you know what you're doing. I guess you already know yourself that like keep safe, don't be too revealing and things like that. So, and I guess for you young lads who are also listening, don't be a bunch of pricks. So that's all I've got to say with that. So, any final thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, no, it's just to reiterate your point, really. You
Mm,
don't need to go whole hog and download Tor and only use Twitter, the onion link on Twitter, and use a different email address every day. You just
mm,
need to be conscious about the amount that you're sharing.
mm,
So
mm,
you just want to make sure you're trying to avoid superfluous personal details as much as possible,
mm,
within reason, of course. There's always that temptation to overshare, and sometimes it's
mm.
acceptable, but really, you just need to be conscious of what you're sharing at
Yeah,
all times.
definitely, definitely. I guess it is unfortunately one of those things about women, which is women really like to talk. Yeah, yeah. If you guys have actually talked to a woman IRL, you would know this. That yeah, men are usually more like you are supposed to keep to yourself, and you're not meant to overshare. But women naturally are people persons, right? And the way that they connect with other people is to share experience, and it's a natural, beautiful thing to do in womanhood. But I guess online, it is certainly not safe to do so. So
It's a
yeah.
massive risk.
As I said, an unfortunate situation. I do hope she keeps safe. I know a lot of you who do support Victoria as well, and good on you for your chivalry. Because I don't think she has a boyfriend either. So, but don't. Also, in saying that, don't try to hit her up in her DMs.
No e dating.
Yes, definitely no e dating. So, only date IRL. All right, moving on to our next topic. It seems that Elon has had a change of heart. If you weren't aware, my original account, well, not my original, but my account used for the channel, Christian Anime Podcast, was unfortunately suspended a few months ago because Mento. I'll see if I can still find the tweet, but Mento wrote something to the effect of, "If you don't look both ways at a pedestrian crossing, you are legally allowed to be run over," basically. And I quote retweeted that to the effect of, "You are legally obliged to run over cyclists." And of course, I am a bit salty that Mento was not suspended for his tweet, but I was suspended because apparently cyclists are a protected class on Twitter. So I was very, very salty a few months ago that I lost my account. But it seems that I've been able to rebuild to around the same amount of clout I was. And to my surprise, it seems Elon has had a change of heart, and my permanent suspension is now like gone. So I all I had to do was to delete the tweet, and it seems that a bunch of you guys were also able to get your account back. So, have you actually lost your account yet?
It's been locked for
That's
about a
been
day or so, but it
mhm.
hasn't actually been suspended yet.
Lucky you.
Not yet,
Lucky
anyway.
you.
Not yet.
I guess yeah. In terms of it's a nice like that was the expectation that when Elon came around that he would have some semblance of like free speech, and even though he would disagree with the right wingers, I guess a bunch of the mainstream conservatives were able to still go on. But if you're on the fringes, whether you were like far left or far right, you were still kind of targeted. So I think it's definitely interesting. Do you have any particular like how passionate are you about censorship, I suppose, or free speech issues?
Um, about as passionate as anyone would be, really.
Mm,
I don't really have much to say on the topic.
yeah.
Uh,
Do you think that this is like a sign that things are actually going to change, or do you think like Elon's like this is just a piece of red meat to keep us keep us satiated, I suppose, and stop complaining?
it's more than that. I've got a bit of a dissenting opinion in that I'm not even entirely convinced that it was deliberate.
Hmm.
Um, I I don't actually don't. First of all, I don't know what the issue, what actually happened. All I know is I somehow picked up 100 mystery followers for no reason other than this.
Hmm.
But my only working theory is that there just could have been a months-long backlog of appeals that were cleared either by some human error or maybe it was deliberate. They were just all approved.
Yeah.
But like I said, I really have no idea about the cause or the motivation for it.
I think I did see an article on. I'll see if I can put it up if I remember it, but it was definitely a mainstream news source that was like Twitter had changed its policies on permanent suspensions, so it wouldn't be giving out permanent suspensions anymore. It would just be temporary suspensions, and
Oh,
of course,
could be that. Could just
yeah,
be retroactively applying that to all suspended accounts.
yeah, that's fair. But nonetheless, I'm glad I got my account back. I guess there it is a reason to be optimistic that we won't have to worry as much to have our accounts banned again. But time will tell. The caveat there, of course, is that permanent suspensions are going to be for the most extreme cases still. So yeah, and we know how liberally they use the term extreme case. So
Watch us hit all those extremes within a week.
definitely, definitely. Yeah. Next minute it'll be so extreme to like want to get married or something like that. So anyway, to think you were cis all along, oh my goodness. Everyone is actually not cis, and um, society's just decided to force you to think you're cis. So you're actually the opposite gender all along. So now moving on to the Israeli-Palestine war that's been happening right now. It is unfortunate,
Yay.
I suppose. Yeah, I've been talking. I've been looking online on the discourse as well, and it is unfortunate that a lot of evangelical Christians have trotted out the same thing about like, oh, it's a Christian thing to do to like support Israel. And it's unfortunate that most of the mainstream like Christian YouTube channels and mainstream Christian news outlets as well have come out in full support of Israel. So yeah, I'll just say it is unfortunate because I think we are literally about to witness like the side of, or I shouldn't say, scratch that. We are literally about to witness the removal, the unaliving of about 2 million Palestinians, I think. And it's all based on the fact that, oh, they're Jewish. And yeah, I guess there's some reason for them to defend their homeland. And I've seen some people's cases that, oh, hey, God still wants them to have that homeland. And yeah, it's crazy. I think it's absolutely crazy for you, for people to like justify the mass unaliving of a bunch of people like that. So I guess for you in rural Scotland, like I'm assuming it hasn't really affected you much, the war.
No, no, aside from just the online discourse, it hasn't
Mm,
affected me personally. I know what you're referring to as unfortunately probably a consequence of dispensationalism, which
mm,
I'm sure you've
yeah.
probably heard about.
Yep. Yep.
Uh, it's a fine theory on its own regarding how the Bible is categorized,
Mm,
but everything else around it is just a bit off.
yeah.
If I can
Yeah.
put it a bit softly.
It is a it's also such a relatively new theological position. So
Mm,
there's that as well. It doesn't really have church tradition backing it. The most unfortunate consequence of that sort of dispensational theology is that I actually know a lot of boomers and I know a lot of people in their retirement and they're all waiting for Jesus to come back because, and they're excitedly waiting for Jesus to come back because Israel is at war. And it's been a while since I've read up on it, but essentially the main thing is that if Israel's at war, that means like Jesus is coming back sometime soon. And I think the unfortunate thing about that is, right, these boomers, right, they're perfectly fine to do it because they've lived their life. They've got like a massive amount of wealth to sit on and
mm,
just I guess not do any work. But I think it's such a negative impact on young people who are actually wanting to make a difference in the world and to be told by evangelical churches that, oh no, it doesn't matter because Jesus is going to come back soon. I think it's so unfortunate.
mm.
And it definitely affects young people. So,
In the end, it's in the end, Matthew 24 has got the answer.
mm,
See that you are not alarmed, for this must take place. I know it's a bit grim, that whole chapter, but
yeah, yeah.
that's how
Um,
it is, and that's how we need to have faith.
Definitely, definitely. So it's not yet the end, right? So for 2,000 years, right, there have been wars and rumors of wars. For 2,000 years, there have been earthquakes and there have been plagues and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So to say that Jesus is coming back now because there are some like wild events have occurred 200 years ago, 300 years ago. You know what? Some people actually thought Hitler was the Antichrist. And there are some people that even today who think Hitler is the Antichrist, even though I don't think he may not really be the Antichrist. He still has like some poor policies, but overall, like he's not the actual Antichrist. So I digress. I digress. But yeah,
Yep.
it's I was gonna say as well, like I did hear there were a bunch of pro-Palestine protests in the UK actually. So
There, there are. Uh, Now, unfortunately, like you said, I'm in rural Scotland, so I have that extra physical degree of separation.
mm,
I literally live miles away from the nearest Muslim, so
right,
that's uh, that's at
lucky
least a
you. Oh
positive.
my goodness.
So, but yeah, thing is, you've got those, you've got the police's unwillingness to act against
Mm,
them,
yeah,
and very brazen willingness to act against people complaining about it.
yeah,
But in the end, it's not surprising.
mm,
We know the UK is basically a police state at this point. You've got the I'm going to go for a bit of a tangent here with that one autistic girl some weeks ago that was arrested
yep, yep,
because she said some officer looked like a lesbian. If you
yep,
remember that, that made me unnecessarily incensed.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and yeah, the public, we've already got a tolerance for black pills, and this is just one more.
mm,
Um, Really, it's all just more demoralization, more political apathy
mm,
that
yeah,
just allows the powers that be to continue to be. Really,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah. Like I said, a bit of
Um,
a tangent, but it's
yeah, not a problem, not a problem. And all happening under a so-called conservative government. So yeah,
uh,
yeah, conservative doesn't mean anything anymore.
no, no. That's the thing. In
Yeah,
England, Problem is, every political event, every political action in the UK, it's really just theater, or every public one, I should say,
Hmm.
it's really just theater. There's no point behind it. If there's any talking happening, it's behind closed doors.
Hmm.
I know in 2021, 2022, around thereabouts, we spent 6 months talking about how Boris Johnson had a party during COVID, when he wasn't supposed to, which is
Yep.
fine. It's bad. It's hypocritical, of course. But 6 months, man, it is.
Yeah.
It just got so tired out by the end.
The fact that I think his political scandals, like just in general, and their purpose in politics, I think are completely and utterly useless. I just like it is hypocritical, right? I think the Partygate
Yeah,
stuff it was wild that it does reflect on Johnson's character, I suppose.
yeah,
But at the same time, we should be more concerned about policy.
yeah. No, if anything, it sounded like a distraction.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what? Political scandals as well. They just incentivize politicians to throw red meat at the table again. I still remember
Mm,
if you haven't watched my video yet. It was ages ago, but this was on the LGBT discrimination bill. But that thing was basically dead in the water at the time of writing that video, and I was convinced. You two was also convinced that it wasn't going to go anywhere. Out of nowhere comes a scandal on Kishida's hands, and because of that, I guess just to be popular with the public, he passes the LGBT discrimination bill, which is it incentivizes politicians to do bad policy decisions. So
just a little bit of appeasement to just keep the opposition entertained, just while everything else goes downhill.
managed decline and it managed decline, but I
Yeah,
guess it's
basically.
sorry, it's so black. It is getting a bit black-filled, but yeah, this has been a bit of a depressing episode, but um.
Yeah, let's talk about something positive, like Ukraine. Let's go.
Well, one other thing I was gonna touch on was like the plan for protesting on Remembrance Day, and I was like, huh, whose bright idea was it to do a pro-Palestinian protest during Remembrance Day and disrupt the whole thing? And yeah, I think it is just indicative of we are literally seeing the West collapse, and it
Yeah.
has been said before, but yeah, the West has actually fallen.
My understanding is that there are no formal plans to do that, but someone's going to try anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I'll tell you what, it might have been hearsay, so because
Yeah.
I've seen it circulating around that they're gonna disrupt the Remembrance Day service, and so long as like one person has that idea, they're still gonna do it
Mm.
regardless. So anyway, all right. On a brighter note, let's move on to anime. Yeah, have you been watching any anime this season? Actually,
Right. So regarding anime, I do not watch anime every day. So it's
oh my
yes,
goodness.
yes, it's a true scandal. Yeah, you want scandal. There's your scandal.
Oh my goodness.
Um.
You've just discredited yourself.
So
You've just discredited yourself as a guest on this podcast. Goodness.
no, so I'm not really big on seasonal stuff. I've been watching Iron Blood Orphans lately.
Ah,
Very good anime. That, although again, Gundam is also something I'm relatively new to as well.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's
that
a bit
looks
tricky
cool.
because
Don't know.
I'm actually a relative newcomer to anime in
Yeah,
general. So
it is to be expected. Like, of course, none of us on like even me, the so-called Christian anime podcast. I only have like wait, let's check my anime list again. I think it's only 30 days on it, and compared to most people, like to be a really true to be a true anime veteran, you need to get like 100 days on your MAL. And yeah, I'm only at 30 days. So I
wow.
know normies who have more days of anime than I do. So I haven't seen. I'm not sure if Cultured Crusader's on my anime list though. I'll ask him, but he definitely knows a lot more about retro anime than I do. And
Mm,
yeah, I think there is a point at which it is kind of cringe to only watch the seasonal stuff and not watch like stuff that you need to catch up on in the past. And you have to. It's
yeah.
completely fair to say.
Though I do tend to drop a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people that have a moral problem with people that drop anime. So
Mm.
unfortunately, so that's my cross to bear, I'm afraid.
No, I'm actually the same because I think if I break this rule all the time, but I guess the general accepted dropping time frame would be drop it on either on the first episode, second episode, or I guess third episode if you're still bored. If you're dropping it at the third episode, you just have commitment issues. But I was planning to continue watching the the zombie anime, which I can't remember now. This was like about this guy in a zombie apocalypse, and he was freed from like his terrible job, so he was free to do whatever he wants now in the zombie apocalypse. And I think by the 5th, 6th episode, it was just like it started off with such great energy, and then it just fell off so bad. So like I completely respect people who just drop anime because the plot gets worse or the animation quality doesn't sustain itself continually.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, the last episode of Attack on Titan is a bit of a bad place to drop it. But
I've actually read the manga for Attack on Titan, and I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I actually like the ending of Attack on Titan as a manga first reader. I haven't watched the anime. I have seen some clips of it where it does look really, really bad.
yeah, I haven't finished it myself either. In fact, I think I got about season 5 or so where I
I see,
settled.
I see.
This was long before season 6 actually came out. So
Mm.
yeah, my problem is I tried to catch up, but then I realized I didn't remember a thing that happened in season 4 or 5. So I
Right.
thought, I've got to go through all that again.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
guess
just
yeah.
decided against it.
I guess it kind of sucks as well when these seasons are they're
Yeah.
spaced apart so far. So and I think that's going to be the same thing with Chainsaw Man as well, because I have not heard anything about a season 2. And while I did enjoy the first season of Chainsaw Man, surely season 2 will come along. So and of course to my regular subscribers who are wondering where's the regular Christian anime podcast, I'll tell you what. There's not enough anime for me to actually like do a live stream, so I'll tell you right now in terms of literally the 2 anime which I'm watching this season. I'm watching the 2nd season of the Spy Family, which I'm actually enjoying because the first season
That
of it,
is something to watch. Yes.
Spy Family. Yeah, what did you are you up to the 2nd season yet?
It's just started recently.
I gotcha. Yeah, what did you think of the first season? Like through all 24 episodes, goodness.
Honestly, it was fun. It's a very fun anime, I would
Mm.
say. So I can't give it's not much of an in-depth critique, but it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah. And I think treating it as a fun anime that's the way you're supposed to treat it. I think
Mhm.
I said this in my video before, and I probably should update it. I'm gonna do an updated video on Spy Family because my first impression was, oh, this is like a cool spy anime, and I was expecting it to be a lot more serious than it currently is. But once you treat it as, oh, it's meant to be a goofy anime, yeah, it's not that bad actually. So it's not a 10 out of 10, but it's not it's not hot garbage, that's for sure.
Oh, you're way
And
more serious than I was expecting
yes.
at times. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I can't say I was expecting all the actual deaths, despite there being an assassin there, but
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, because I like the shift that's happened in the 2nd season. Because of course there were like really dark moments in the first season, right? There was like talk
mm,
about war, and there was talk about like people actually like there was one point where Lloyd was actually at risk of dying. Overall, this was a really goofy thing, and there wasn't any real stakes in it. I think in season 2, I've noticed there's been a lot more care to it, right? The animation's a
mm,
lot cleaner. Not everyone is standing around like cardboard cutouts, right? Everyone's actually moving.
mm,
And that's why I like it. I actually am enjoying season 2 because it's a step up from the last season in
mm.
quality and in the story as well. That there are actually things happening now. And I've been getting messages every day to watch Freerun, and guys, don't worry, I'll watch it. I'll watch Freerun. Culture Crusader did a video on it. If you want to know my opinion on it, just watch Culture Crusader's video because I probably won't do a video on it soon because I'm
If you
about
want to
to
know, if you want
get.
to know my, if you want to know my opinion, just look at my username. But
Yeah.
no, I might give it a shot eventually.
Yeah, definitely. All right, very cool, very cool. And on that happy note, I'd like to thank again my guest for ElfWrongs, I should say, for coming onto the podcast. It's good to have another voice on here. It's a good variety of stuff that we talked about, from Israel to women on the internet, and of course to Spy Family. And I guess that's it. This podcast doesn't have to be serious. Regardless, thank you very much for tuning into the podcast. If you would like to watch some more of my content, I've got a playlist just for you right here. Please do like, please do subscribe, and share it with your Oomfies. let's make this the #1 Oomfie podcast, because I know there's a competitor coming up. So